I mean, this thing is weird, but it flies amazing. Here we go. Alright guys, welcome to today's review. We do have two versions of this quad, which is cool. You have the HD DJI version, it's around $279, and you have the analog version with the EOS 2 version 2 on here, and that one's around $179. But what's cool about this quad is that, yes, it looks extremely weird, but it flies amazing. So this one hit me from left field because I didn't know a lot about it from BetaFpv. I got several boxes in the mail this week from them, and there's a whole bunch of new quads coming out on their website, so you can go check them out. But this one, I wasn't even really thinking that much about this thing. I pulled it out of the box and I was like, what in the world? I mean, come on, what kind of, juice is this? But it surprised me. When I was flying the Diatone Taycan 25 that afternoon, I had this one to fly afterwards, and I strapped my Insta360 Go on the front, and on my first battery, I realized that the tune was extremely good on this thing, and it had zero washout. It was doing power loops low to the ground where the Taycan 25 would wobble out. I had much more control with this quad. This quad also does not have foam bumpers on the outside of it, so take that with a grain of salt, but it has inverted motors as well, and these are 1106 4500 kV motors. I don't know if they have several different versions of the motors, but you can also add crossfire on here. If you decide to buy the analog version, this one has a 350 milliwatt VTX riding in the very back, so it has sort of a trunk style mount back there, and you have an option to mount the Caddx Vista back there later. There's plenty of room back here for the Caddx Vista if you choose to do that. We have the BetaFpv 5.8 right-hand circular polarized antenna back here, and I've seen this one before. This one worked pretty good out in the field. I'm flying it today with the XM Plus on board. We also have an F405 flight controller with BetaFlight OSD, all that good stuff on there. And what's neat about this frame is that it is kind of a carbon combo with molded ABS style prop guards, and no foam again. XT30 here in the very back sticking up. You want to put a zip tie on this to secure it somehow. And we have some other type of camera mount on the very bottom right here as well, which is kind of cool. It kind of holds all this together. There's 4 bolts right here holding that bottom plate on, screwing down to the frame itself. But what's neat is that the battery does ride on top. We have dampening for the camera, and it looks like this top plate, carbon top plate, is probably around 3mm top plate. So in conjunction with like some molded prop guards, this thing's pretty durable. I think my only beef with this one might be that EOS 2 version 2 camera. It is a BetaFpv branded camera, but it's not like probably my favorite camera in the world, but the flight characteristics outweigh everything else about this. When I take off with this quad, I kind of forget what this quad even looks like because it flies so damn good. And you don't have to use a right turn USB connector to get to this flight controller, which is nice. You can go straight through the top right here and get to the USB port, which is kind of nice as well. So we also have 16 amp ESC, so that's going to be a 4S max on this quad, and they recommend the 450 battery, but I think the 650 actually gets me above 5-minute flight time, and that's kind of what I want for my Insta360 because it records 5 minutes in FPV mode. But this quad is really kind of a sleeper and probably one that's not really that talked about, but this design and this frame, this whole setup right here is absolute gold. So let's go outside. Let me show you how awesome this quad does fly. Here we go. All right guys, let's go ahead and do the FPV flight test now. The 95X V2, again, total surprise. I had no idea what to expect. It looks super weird. And my first punch out, after I started moving the sticks around in acro mode, was where I was like, wow, this quad has some seriously high rates for freestyle. And as far as the whoop spectrum goes, I was pretty blown away with how nimble it felt on the sticks. So that was my first impression, that this little guy has awesome maneuverability. And I'm not getting all the washout like I've done on some foam bumper style quads recently. Some of the foam bumper center loops can't handle anything. And when it comes to wind, they don't handle wind at all. They do a lot of washout. You can barely power loop most of them. But this one does not have the foam bumpers on there holding you back. You don't have to even cut them off because it doesn't even come with any. So I felt like freestyle was right on point with this quad. I just felt like I could even learn and grow with this style power system and the frame, because the frame, it feels and looks quite durable. I'm not scared at all to crash this one down into the field, into the dirt or whatever. I did have one crash and I used turtle mode and I was able to flip it back over out in the field and get it back up in the air. So this quad can also do turtle mode. You do have some good prop protection there with the prop guards. But the tune is pretty good. Mine is not representational. The bottom right-hand corner there, you can see a little bit of vibes in some of it, but I had my Insta360 kind of like closely touching the EOS 2 camera, so it might have been a little bit more vibrations than it should. I kind of had my Insta360 Go mount installed incorrectly, so that was my fault. But flight characteristics, again, way better than the Taycan 25 as far as the size of this quad, the flight characteristics, the power to weight punch out ratio, and the roll rates were all really, really, really enjoyable to fly. And then when you click back into stability, what's neat about this quad is it's really precise and it feels good with the inverted motors. So I can fly low to the ground like this. I can see a small tiny gap coming and be able to make that gap, which is really nice. And this quad is also way quieter than the Taycan 25. So if you're looking for something you can fly in the park that you won't bother folks with, this one has the same noise level as something like a regular micro brushless. And again, I'm kind of able to get out of situations with those prop guards. And even like skirting through here, I wanted to go underneath where the batteries are charging, hit an XT60 cable there, just barely made it out, still bumping with the prop guards, no probs. And it does blow quite a bit of dust. So if it's dusty where you are, you're gonna see some dust coming up because those motors are just straight down at the ground like that. But what a joy to fly. I really, really enjoyed flying this quad. And I just wanted to keep flying. It also flies extremely well out in the field. I did a lot of low to the ground, getting in between the trees. You guys have seen me do that before, and this quad was probably one of my tops as far as precise control. Watch this, come to a really nice stop, plop, right on the table, and done. So this one, yeah, absolutely awesome to fly. So I'm giving this one 2 thumbs up for this review. Absolutely awesome. Okay. So, man, I wish BetaFpv would have sent me the CADX version of this. BetaFpv, So anyway, yeah, I got the analog one. It flies amazing. That's all you need to know. It will do pretty much anything that your standard style micro brushless will do. I have flown micro brushless since the early days of micro brushless. When we were actually flying and building micros, back when they were brushed motors, old school Cheerson designs. I mean, whoa, I just said Cheerson, wow. So we have come a long way, guys. And I haven't seen 1106 motors on something in quite some time. So I have to say that the 1106 motors on here actually worked out to their advantage, because they do give it this entire aircraft weight, a lighter weight. The 1404 motors are very popular right now, 1402s, but they are a little bit bigger. But when you're swinging 2.5-inch props, these actually work out pretty well, and you have all the power that you need. You have a pretty good KV on these. At 4,500 KV, it just has a great punch out. This guy just is like a rocket straight up. So the 4S650, if you're gonna freestyle, it doesn't really feel that heavy, which I like. If you're gonna do some extreme freestyle and you wanna fly 2.5 minutes, you can try the 450. Plus, if you have some older batteries, they're probably gonna sag. So you're gonna need to have some decent batteries when you're flying this one. You want to make sure that you have some newer batteries. You can check out the All-Line batteries. Jerry from All-Line, he is the original owner of G&B, sent me some All-Lines recently, and they're my go-to batteries right now, and they're not puffing up yet, so that's good. They're doing even better than some of my Tattoo R-Line batteries, and R-Line has been my battery of choice for a long time. So I'm gonna start putting some links down there for All-Line. for you guys. So pick up a 4S650 setup for this one as your primary long flight battery. You know, 550 maybe for your freestyle battery, I would recommend. So I think the 450 is just a little bit small. And whenever I fly 1106 in the past, I was just always kind of a little bit annoyed with a 450 because 1106 do kill some batteries quite quick on the throttle. So if you're on the high throttle end of things, you're gonna wipe that battery out pretty quick. But the VTX on the back worked great. The antenna back here, I've used this one before on many different BetaFpv quads. This little right-hand circular polarized antenna does great. XT30 is all ready to go. I like the fact that they do have several different camera options on here too, so that's a plus for guys that want to do cinema. If you want to do some mild freestyle, you can do some crazy fun freestyle with the Insta360 Go. This just probably is going to be a little bit lighter than even the Naked GoPro option. So I just kind of prefer this one right now, and I'm kind of yet to do this to my GoPro just because I have so many 5-inch quads that I have to put GoPros on. I'm not ready to decase this unless someone sends me one. One of these companies maybe will send me one, hopefully. So we have 4 bolts, 3mm top plate, F4 flight controller. The tune on here is spectacular, and I think that if you spend $179 for the analog version, you're gonna love this quad. It looks weird, it has inverted motors, but that really lets this thing fly a lot better. It has a clean thrust output on the bottom. It's not hitting the frame at all down here. So that's the whole point of inverted motors. But very fun, very stable, beginner friendly as well, because this thing is a beast and I don't think you're gonna break it. If you break yours, if you break your 95X V2, show me a picture of it and show me some video of how you did it, because I'd love to see it. But I think it's kind of a cool design. It's very original, and it looks to be like something that is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people out there. So this one's gonna get the double thumbs up for me for flight performance, durability, the components used on here. 350 milliwatt VTX is good enough. I'd like to see 400 maybe. And I like the variety of camera options that they have. So pick up one of these if you have a GoPro. I'll try to put the links down below for both of these and an Insta360 Go. If you're interested in buying one of those, you could do that. It will benefit the channel, and I would appreciate that. So let me go ahead and end this review and just say it is an A+ quad. So very nice release that surprised me. This one is a sleeper, guys. I'm Justin Davis. Take care, and thanks for flying with me, guys. Happy FPV. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one.